Hey guys,
What's going on, bro?
You're asking me what's going on, or
Yeah.
what's going on to everybody else?
Bros and bras? What's the women equivalent of a bro?
A brah,
A bra?
a brah.
I thought
I got.
that's
nothing.
really funny, actually. Bros and bras. Well, yes, PTGPowercast. Wow.
Listening with power.
Listening with power. What's going on, boys?
Nothing much. How are you doing?
Hit me up with that new news. Hit me up with that hot
What's the hot goss?
gossip. What do you guys know? What's new with you guys? What you been up to?
Most people finally got power back.
Sweat my balls off.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was quite the shitty week in Wisconsin, particularly southeast Wisconsin.
Yes, weather speaking. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very hot, very, very stormy. I was without power for about a day. Very miserable.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Oh man, almost like the opening to Link to the Past. As much as I hate to allude to that game, it's kind of what it felt like.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Dark and stormy, and your uncle tells you don't leave the house. And what's the first thing you do? You leave that damn house.
You wait in the house for him to return.
And then
Who
you return the
leaves?
game because this is basically just wait in a house simulator.
Didn't somebody
It's
actually
an actual review.
they reviewed it like that? It's like, I waited. He never came back, so I returned the game and said, "Wait, this is not a fun game."
That's a guy you make manager because he's a rule follower. He doesn't bend the rules.
Oh, that's so funny.
No, what you been playing lately? Let's start with that. Usually somebody's been playing something.
Actually, I had money on my PSN account, and I ended up picking up Marvel's Avengers for like $18.
Yeah.
And for like a $20 game, not bad. I would have hated if I spent full price on it, because yeah, definitely not full price worthy.
But just is at
For-
least
for-
fun for $20.
For a discount bin thing, yeah, it wasn't too bad.
What does it play like?
It plays.
I'm assuming it's not like that one that came out, that
Marvel
Black
Ultimate
Order or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Ultimate Alliance.
It sort of plays like those, but it's also like an online.
MMORPG.
Yeah, it's like the game as a service type thing.
Oh. I still
But
have to get
it's-
that Ultimate Alliance.
It's,
I still want to give it a shot.
Like I can see what they were trying to do with it, but like most of the characters suck. Iron Man's the best.
You've never really liked the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, though, have you?
I didn't
Like,
hate them.
He didn't mind the X-Men Legends.
I liked
ones.
X-Men Legends more.
Uh,
But I remember when we did a session of that on the channel. We did Ultimate Alliance with you.
Yes, Black Order.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it looked cool to me. Like I think I would actually really enjoy that.
Yeah, it was a fun game.
Yeah, I think I'd give it a shot.
I like that Juggernaut showed up for it.
Yeah, of course you did. All right, so Ultimate. No, what did you? Allegiance. What? Marvel's Avenger.
That's just
Whatever.
Marvel's Avengers.
Who fucking cares what
Marvel's
you've been doing?
Avengers, Ultimate Alliance, the Black Order. Yeah. It's all the
Of
same
Legends.
game.
Of Legends.
Of Legends.
2,
Yes.
the better one.
Rise of Apocalypse.
Rise of Apocalypse now. All right. So yes. This has come as no surprise to you, fucking guys.
They played nothing.
I have been playing a lot of things. So recently, Final Fantasy put out these pixel remasters, right?
Ugh.
So it's basically they released 1, 2, and 3.
Of course you bought
and your
Final
Final
Fantasy one again.
I am playing through Final Fantasy 1 for the 19th time.
You know what's funny? Is that you make fun of me all the time. You're like, you've got a list of 5 games that you just cycle through and play them over and over again. It's like, at least I got 5 games. You've got 1 game.
My
and
game's
it's called Final Fantasy.
But it's different. It's not like DuckTales has different iterations of the same game. Like, it's just DuckTales.
DuckTales does have other iterations of the game. It's called DuckTales 1, it's called DuckTales 2, and it's called DuckTales Remastered. Go check
3.
it out.
That's it? All you got's a piddly little 3? Final Fantasy's been remade 6 times.
At least.
At least. You got the original. You got Final Fantasy Origins for the GBA. You got Final Fantasy Chronicles or whichever one it was on for the PlayStation. You got the PSP version. You got the phone version.
There was a PC version.
Now there's a pixel remaster again, which is different graphics.
Didn't the 3DS get a remake of it
Isn't
too?
there a
Man, I don't know.
the PC port?
That was FF7.
I know.
But-
I'm just kidding.
But yes, you know, I don't really like to play games on my phone, and visually I do like it. Like, it actually looks really cool because the graphics are different than the other versions of it. But I don't know, like, to me it feels hard to play on the phone. The controls are a bit cumbersome because it's touch, and I don't like to do that. I just give me a damn D-pad and a button. Like, don't make me poke at things. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't like. But maybe it'd be different if I was playing it on Steam. Maybe it'd be more fun. But I don't know. I'll force my way through it. I just like that the white mage looks like she's flipping everybody off when she casts spells. It's really funny. But there's a lot of cool touches. Like, they made it to where, like, because usually the person who's at the head of the party is the one that shows up on the map. This one, you can select any of the characters and have them as like, portrayed on the map,
so
but not be...
You can do the Tails style, do the leader flag.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. Like, I do like that touch, because that's one thing I've always wanted in the original Final Fantasy games, was to see the other characters on the map, because they look neat as shit. I hate seeing the fucking fighter for 25 hours. You know, I want to see the black mage, I want to see the red mage. Like,
well, then make your party in a different order.
But then the one at the top of the queue gets his ass kicked. I did try it with a black mage once. He got wasted. But yes, I've been playing that. Axiom Verge 2 released much earlier than people thought. It actually had a stealth release, if that's...
What is a stealth release?
Basically, they released it without
any fanfare,
any heads up.
no heads up. That
I'm pretty sure it was slated for September.
I thought it was supposed to come out till later, and then he messaged me and was like, "Oh yeah, I got it. Have you played it?" I'm like, "Wait, it's what?"
Yeah. They pulled a Sega Saturn.
Yeah, basically, that's what it felt like. Because I was just scrolling through Facebook and I saw a guy he was promoting his live stream thing. He's like, "I'm playing Axiom Verge 2 release today," and I'm like, "What?" It's like, wait a minute. So I got home and I searched for it. Sure enough, it's fucking on there. I was like, "What?"
Everywhere.
It's fucking great. The game is gorgeous.
Nice.
I love it. It's actually pretty difficult to play. Not to play, but it's difficult.
It's a hard game.
It's a hard game.
Okay.
And it's
yeah, but you think everything's hard.
Well,
this is hard.
Only when you're around. And boom, suck it. Anyway, yes, it's a good Metroidvania, and I like the first one a lot because it played a lot like Super Metroid. This one's not quite like Super Metroid. It kind of plays more like Aria of Sorrow. If that makes sense.
Okay.
But it's really good.
It's a Metroidvania. Still.
Highly recommended. Axiom Verge and Axiom Verge 2. Paul's been playing nothing, huh?
I actually have been playing, but more classic stuff.
Oh, let me guess, DuckTales?
No.
Super Metroid?
No. So
Mario RPG?
No.
We just played it.
So I've been playing a lot like on the Switch, but I do like the Super Nintendo console and stuff.
Yeah, like the classics.
Yeah,
the classic
and so I realized that I've played through Donkey Kong Country 1 so many times. I played through Donkey Kong Country 3. I love both of those games. 2 I have played through one time, and I remember just not liking it. And so I am forcing myself to play through Donkey Kong Country 2 for a second time, just to see if I did in fact hate it, or if I just didn't like it for any other reason than something else.
2 was the one that introduced Dixie Kong, right?
Yes, it was Diddy and Dixie.
And then the
Diddy's
third
Conquest.
one had
was Baby Kong. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And so far, I'm about halfway through the game, and I would say that yes, my memory of how I felt about that game is pretty accurate.
You just hate it.
I'm just not a big fan of it.
Is it just it feels forced, or like what is it?
So the music,
inspired level design.
The music is absolutely just. I think honestly, of all the Donkey Kong Country games on the Super Nintendo, the music for 2 was by far the best.
Really?
It was amazing, absolutely astounding. The level designs were interesting. They were unique. But it feels like they turned the difficulty up to like 11 to compensate. It was almost like what they did with, in the opposite direction of what they did with Mega Man 1 to Mega Man 2. We made 1 too hard, so we're going to make 2 super easy.
Yeah.
And it's like they made Donkey Kong Country 1 too easy, so we're going to make it super hard. Because people complained that it was too easy.
Because Donkey Kong has always been known for tight controls and tight combat.
Yes, there you go. But no, the difficulty. It's like some of the places where they hide like the secrets are just in the most obscure random spots where I'm just like, who the hell is going to find this? Like,
So like me watching
Like-
you play it on the channel, where I'm just
Yes.
like, who would do this?
who would do this? Yes, but it seems like they put things like super out of the way, and they just make certain levels like super difficult just to be difficult, and I don't like that. So, but eventually I will be playing. I found on the Switch, the eShop or whatever it's called, they had the Amnesia collection. So it's
Oh, the game Amnesia.
yes, Amnesia.
Okay.
Yes,
I
the
thought
Amnesia
that's
collection.
the name of the collection was the Amnesia collection. It was a collection of different games.
No,
I know there's a game
Yes,
called
yes.
Amnesia.
There's
Yeah.
apparently there's multiple Amnesias,
yeah.
and so I got a trilogy of Amnesia games, including the Dark Descent, which is one that I have always wanted to play because people it is always on their list of like scariest games of all time,
Dark Descent was
basically.
good.
And so I found it on the console for like $2.99, I
Wow.
think. So I was like, yes, please. So eventually I will play that.
Cool.
And then
I like it.
I'm excited about Doki Doki Literature Club coming to the Switch.
Of course.
They're doing
Yeah.
a reduxed version that's coming out
Yeah.
in September. And
I liked it. I
and
thought
so
it was
this
great.
Is, and so this is my time where I'm actually going to
Experience
I'm
it?
gonna experience it. Yeah.
Awesome. You won't regret it. It was
Well,
pretty great.
Believe it or not, it was my nephew who is the one who ultimately sold it to me because nobody has ever told me what the game is. They just said that it's really messed up.
Well, it's because they don't want to ruin the experience.
Yeah, like knowing certain things going into that one ruins.
Well, no,
some of
because
the-
because the way that he described it, he said that the game
it's like
looks
having a bowl of cereal while on acid.
well. He said the game looks like it's like a not a scary game,
It's
but
it's like a dating sim.
yeah,
is what it feels like.
But it's like every like scene that you saw like in trailers, in like screen reveals and stuff like that, it's like that's not what this game
no,
is.
not at all.
And so nobody has ever said that to me. I'm like, oh, okay. I just
Pretty
thought
sure I did.
We
no,
did.
never.
Oh,
you
come on.
said that it's a dating sim that it's like that there are things that happen in there that just make you go like, what the hell is happening? And it's like, no, he told me that it's like super scary and it's kind of like horror based and there's mature themes in there and stuff that
It's a mind fuck.
yeah. And so I'm like, oh my god, like how did it take me this long to realize this? And
Wow.
now I'm like super into.
I'm like 99% certain.
I'm sure I
we
did.
just
Pretty
watched
sure
some of
you
the-
guys didn't.
No, I
Otherwise,
think
I would have latched on. To
How
it.
often does he actually listen?
I
to
would have
Honestly,
latched on.
This was the 1% time it should have stuck, and instead, like usual, it floats in one ear and out the other when we tell him things.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Case in point. Yes, I am pretty sure
Where did
after
you guys get here?
I am pretty sure once I experienced it, I immediately told you have to play this.
No, and I can tell you exactly that no, you did not, because that was when we were we guest spotted on Two Dudes and an S on their
Right.
podcast. You stayed on with Michael to talk about
Yes.
that game because like you were telling me like, oh, you haven't played this, and it's because at the time I didn't have a Switch.
And I'm pretty sure
and
I
so
remember
you
telling
guys-
you
yes.
that I did an episode with the Two Dudes and Sean.
And I never listened to it.
I don't think it ever released, to be honest. I think we ended up having a
Oh.
technical issue with it, and then
Gotcha.
it never
Yeah,
aired.
see, and
but-
I purposely never listened to it because I thought, well, on the off chance that I do want to play this game eventually,
Fair
I'm
enough.
not going to listen to it. So somehow I have not gotten any spoilers
Wow.
to this game. I have not heard anything of like what's in this game. So I'm like going into it completely fresh.
You are gonna love it.
I am
That's all I'm
really,
gonna-
I am really looking forward to
You
it.
are gonna and the second you figure out what happens, I want you to text me. I don't care what time it is. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care where you are. The second shit just flips on you, I want you to text me because yeah.
Is it along the lines of 999? You
I
ever
haven't
played
played that
999? Oh.
I have it, but I haven't played it. I want to though.
I've played through the entire game,
Yeah.
and it makes me want to. I want to get the sequel now.
Yeah. Those are
What
good.
is it? Virtue's Last Reward.
I want to say I have that one too.
Do you really?
I think so.
Then
I
there's
might.
and then there's Zero Time Dilemma, so it was like a
Yeah.
trilogy that they
Yeah,
released.
yeah.
So I'm gonna probably look for both of those two games.
Okay. But yes, so promise me that. The second you figure it out, text me.
I will text you.
Okay? I have proof now, everybody. So
Yes.
if he doesn't, he owes me lunch. Well, that's awesome, though.
So, yes,
I'm
I
glad
have
you
been-
remain spoiler free
I have remained spoiler free somehow.
because you don't
I
go
am
on
not-
social media.
No, I
That's-
really don't.
that's how.
I don't like social media. I stay away from it because there is way too much negativity and there's way too many crazy people.
And that's how you remain pure.
Yeah.
That's. Well, yeah.
I
Sorry.
feel like I'm just saying. I feel like that's how I remain youthful. Is I
Yeah.
stay away from that stuff.
That'll be a good topic for when Vanderhoff's on an episode when we do nothing but reminiscing and what went wrong with society,
People.
people, and social media and the
No,
invention of a
just-
smartphone.
Yeah, all get traced back to people.
But yes, well, that's awesome. I'm glad you're experiencing.
So
that
yes,
then.
I am still experiencing games and playing games. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Yes. Oh, so Paul, you're not playing nothing these days, huh? You're playing some DuckTales? Mario RPG?
I give him a week and he's back to Mario RPG.
Oh yeah, he's gonna try the run without Bowser or without Mallow or Princess.
I've done the run without Princess. I've just never.
with nobody. Just Bowser and Geno.
So yeah,
and-
so
and
Mario,
Mario.
Bowser, and Geno.
It's basically item heavy.
Yes, it
Good
is.
luck.
Whatever. On to the topic.
Yes,
Yes.
we wasted enough time because this is going to be a long one. It's going to be a long episode.
Doubt it.
There's a lot to cover.
It's not as long as you think.
You'd be surprised.
A lot of it
Uh-huh,
overlaps.
sure.
I suppose that's true. But anyway, yes. With the recent, well, I suppose it's not so recent.
It's
now.
not recent anymore.
It's not recent anymore. But with the recent
With the
news,
upcoming.
with the upcoming news of Metroid Dread.
With the upcoming release, it's coming out soon.
I know it is in a couple months.
Yes.
To date this episode,
It's not news.
again, so you guys can point out that it takes me 2 months to put out episodes. It's August 14th.
By the way,
2021.
It's out in stores now.
That's right. When this episode airs, it's going to be December. Get it for your Christmas stockings, kids. Metroid Dread.
This better not come out in December.
I always might do it just as a joke.
January. Actually, we'll miss the Metroid Dread boat.
Miss it. Were we ever on it? Shit. Anyway, yes. I feel like we need to go back to our roots because this channel strayed, in my opinion, from what it kind of started off as, and it's partially my fault.
It is 150%.
Well, you guys don't
your
come
fault.
up with topics.
Sorry, I just don't like to always go back to Pokemon.
I have an interesting idea for an episode about Pokemon, actually.
Son of a bitch, of course you do.
But anyway, well, that's the story for another time, as she says about how she got the light squaber.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gotcha, bitch.
You went there.
Is that Zori Bliss? What the fuck's her name?
No.
Just
It was Maz Kanata.
Maz Kanata. I thought that's Moss Eisley.
It's a good
That's what I
story.
forgot.
A good story for another time that they never freaking go back to.
Perfect.
God bless you, J.J.
That-
Abrams.
That's like Power Trip.
Can we just?
But yes, we're talking about Metroid!
Thank you.
Because Metroid is awesome.
Metroid is.
And I had a good tie-in with the Axiom Verge 2 until Paul sideswiped it with his fucking Donkey Kong 2 nonsense.
That's why you didn't want me to talk about what I had been playing. Is because you wanted it to transition perfectly to your stuff.
No, just because you don't play games.
With the magic of editing, I could technically put Paul's first, and then go to mine.
Yeah, it wouldn't flow right.
Well, does it ever?
No.
This
Not-
episode's
not
off
really.
to a
Touche.
This episode's off to a Freddy Spaghetti start. But yes, talking about Metroid, the iconic never left the spotlight. It really hasn't, yet it took us,
Well-
like 10 fucking years to get a sequel. Yeah, it's been over that. Because when was Fusion? It was quite some time ago.
Fusion was 2004?
Three?
Three, I think.
2?
Three.
3? It was quite some time ago.
How many other numbers are you going to come up with?
I can only go with somebody.
Metroid Fusion was 2002.
2002. So I was right.
No, you weren't.
I started at 2!
You said 4.
That's fair. 2002. So it's been, goddamn,
It's been
almost 20
years. Because didn't it take like 20 years for Kid Icarus to get Uprising?
Yeah, it was quite some time.
1991 is when Of Myths and Monsters came out on the Game Boy, which was technically the sequel to Kid Icarus 1, which was 1987.
Yeah.
So 4 years. And then 2000 and, what was that, 5 or 6?
Somewhere around there.
2006. So that, yeah, it was 24 years.
Yeah, that's
24
true.
years it took. So, I mean, Nintendo has done this with properties before, but I don't think they've ever done it with a property that is as famous and iconic as the Metroid series.
Which is funny because Samus is named as one of the most, or is in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most enduring female character ever created.
Huh.
Like, who's never left the spotlight. Because she really hasn't.
No.
She's been in the Smash Brothers games. She's been in, I mean, had nods in other
games,
various
and
games.
stuff, yeah.
So she's never really left the spotlight.
Samus showed up in Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
First story in 19 years.
Which is funny because technically Dread was in development in 2006, I want to say, but then the game got shelved.
Seriously?
Yeah,
2006?
They started Dread in 6 and then it got shelved to do something else. I can't remember what. But they ended up not really scrapping it, but basically being, or maybe it was later than that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it was, so this is actually, I mean, obviously it doesn't look the same at all, but yeah, technically Dread was in the works for quite some time before this finally came out.
Well, it's going to be interesting because Dread's coming out for the Switch.
Yes.
And I honestly think it's going to sell like hotcakes because the Switch has been very, very it has been a very successful system.
Well, and like this is the first 2D Metroid in a long time.
Yeah.
So, granted, there is a very vocal part of the fan base that's like, oh, it's not the next Prime. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But and those people, I just kind of want to push them off a cliff.
There can be both.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
I mean, I'm excited for Prime 4. I think that'd be awesome.
Prime games are fun, but they don't.
Yeah.
They're not as charming.
Well, they're
as
not.
the 2D
They're not
ones.
the original 2D games.
No, of course not. They were going for a different feel with the
They
Prime
were
games.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But the fact that Dread was even being considered to be released is huge. Like, this really got people excited for it. And I'm hoping, if it goes well, that they'll keep, even though they're saying this is technically the end of this arc, I'm hoping that they still do something with it.
Well, I'm hoping it's just an end to everything revolving around the Metroids, and then now they can have Samus doing who knows, or the
stories.
potential of a new hero stepping up.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think
Having Samus be the mentor like the Chozo were supposed to be for her.
Yeah, maybe.
That'd be kind of interesting.
Because I wouldn't mind seeing a game where you kind of, you know,
almost turning it into a Batman Beyond type story.
Kind of, yeah. Where like she takes someone to like another orphan or something, and she starts training them in the way of like the Chozo raised her to prepare for some next big calamity that's
Which is
coming.
funny because isn't the Chozo, like, they're extinct?
Yes,
They were
I believe
alive
so.
when she was a kid.
Yeah, but they're extinct
I think
now.
they're gone.
And so now she's kind of the only one who's keeping alive that legacy of the Chozo.
So I would kind of like to see like that. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to play as the new character.
No,
but
sure,
have it
sure.
like be part of the story where she's bringing in the next generation. So if they want to do side stuff with something else, they have the root then.
Federation Force.
No,
Oh, God.
we're not doing that.
But yes, let's start where it all began, man. Metroid 1 for the NES.
That's not where it began. It began with a little movie called Alien.
Well, it was
He actually is
inspired.
right.
It was
He's actually
inspired
right,
by
yes.
Alien.
It was.
But,
And H.R. Geiger.
well, if you want to
Wow.
do that, then Zelda and Super Mario Brothers also gave way to Metroid.
Yeah.
Because Metroid was inspired by both of those games.
Yeah. So we have to start at the actual beginning.
No, but Alien in 1979 was definitely a heavy
It was a
influence.
catalyst, yes.
Heavy influence.
It actually,
for the
Alien had a lot of,
atmosphere.
like, the Alien art style had a lot of influence on NES games. It's seen in Metroid, it's seen in Contra.
Oh yes,
It's-
Contra.
Any
especially.
sci-fi
yeah.
back then.
Yeah, it was
hugely inspired by Giger.
by
Yeah.
Geiger. Yeah.
so.
And so yes, you had the backstory of Alien that was really heavily influenced, and then you had this success of games like Super Mario Brothers and Zelda for the exploration. So then they just combined the exploration aspects with space and that kind of that desolate isolation feeling, put it together, and we got Metroid as a result in 1987.
Yeah, 100%.
So
I mean, you can even see the influence of Alien with the fact that she's fighting Ridley. I mean, that was
yeah, absolutely.
her
Well, and
reference
even
to
even
Ridley
the
from the Alien.
even the what is it, like they're from like LV-428 or something like that.
It's Ripley. In the
Where
movie.
was
It's Ripley and
Ridley is a reference to something.
Ridley Scott.
There
Yeah.
it is.
He
I'm
directed.
sorry.
He directed. Yeah, he directed Alien.
that's what I meant.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Ridley is named after Ridley Scott.
Yeah, okay.
And then Ripley is just a D.
Yeah.
Ripley. Way to go!
Clever. So, but you completely destroyed. Like, you derailed me. Now
That was the fun of it.
I don't know where I was. I had a point. I was gonna make a further point, and you guys complete. Oh no, because I said like LV-428 or something like
Yeah.
that. Like that's the space colony that
Yeah.
that Samus is on, right?
SR 388, I think.
Yeah.
SR-388, because
But
in the
LV
Alien
is-
it's LV-428, I think.
Right,
and
right.
yeah, so it's like obviously they really heavily borrowed from
Oh, yeah.
from Alien lore for that.
Yeah.
Huge.
Although
Wait.
Kraid, I don't know where Kraid came from.
Fuck it. Who knows?
Kraid's just an interesting being on his own.
Yeah.
I think Kraid. Well, I feel so bad because I think Kraid was actually supposed to be like the big, like one of the bigger baddies. Like Ridley was the
He was
first guy,
the space pirate
and then
leader.
Kraid was supposed to be like a higher up version, and then you had Mother Brain, and I honestly, at this point, Ridley has taken on a life that's even surpassed Mother Brain.
Oh,
As
yeah.
I think people realize or think that Ridley is actually her main antagonist.
Well,
it's not Mother Brain.
Especially when you get into like the lore for everything that like Ridley's done.
Mhm.
Yeah, Ridley's leader of the space pirates, which in turn killed her parents.
Yes.
and
yeah.
all this other shit. I mean, it's pretty.
Mhm.
It's pretty crazy.
So they really developed the backstory where Ridley is like front and center of
Yeah.
her crosshairs. Yeah.
Because I want to say Mother Brain's not necessarily the boss of every game, but Ridley is usually in it.
Pretty
in one
sure
form
that
or another.
Mother Brain was done after Super Metroid.
Maybe.
I'm pretty
'Cause
sure
I know
that-
it's not in Fusion.
No, I think Mother Brain was done after Super Metroid because that's when the Metroid killed, like the Metroid and
That's
Mother
right,
Brain killed
yeah.
each other basically.
Yeah, the baby
Yeah.
sucked up
Mhm.
Mother Brain's head,
And then after
gave you
that-
the power.
After that, Ridley kind of took over the mantle of being the main
Yeah,
antagonist.
yeah, that's true.
Makes you wonder how he's going to show up in Dread.
Yeah,
Oh, he is. Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's going to show up in Dread.
be cool if
Yeah.
he's got like
Scary.
like
Ooh.
kind
kind
of
of
looks
like
like
a
an Emmy
suit
bot
or something,
like one
yeah.
of the Emmy bots,
Mhm.
or in their armor or something. That'd be pretty fucking badass.
I still would love to see multiple versions of like the SAX.
Yeah.
Like, it's something like that, like chasing you. Like,
Yeah,
that's like, oh god, that's like heart attack inducing at this point, though.
yeah. But yes, Metroid combined, like you'd said before, combined all the greatest aspects of games at the time. You had, the platforming, which was Mario reminiscent. You had the non-linear exploration that Legend of Zelda gave you, except now it's in one package in space.
Mhm.
And it was one of the first ones that you could backtrack.
Well, and that was actually one of the key factors that Research and Development 1 wanted to incorporate, and that's why they made it so that right out of the starting gate, when you go left, you can find a necessary item, the morph ball, because that was
makes sense.
that was intended to say, hey, you're used to games that go from left to right, and you can only go in one direction, you can't go backwards. Well, guess what? Go left, you're gonna find a key item, and this shows you, guess what? You're going in all directions. Like,
Yeah.
you can go back and forth, you can go free one way and the other, and so it was meant to show them that yes, It's not just linear. It's you go in all directions.
It was very clever.
It was very clever.
That was
how
back
it was
when,
executed.
That was back when games taught you how to play the game in without telling you.
Yes, in the game.
Yes. Which is always appreciated back in the old days, because not all the old games did it, but when they did, it was masterpiece.
Oh, yeah.
And Metroid is one of the biggest masterpieces to me in gaming history, because I remember growing up absolutely enamored with it. You know, you have the black background, you have just that feeling of being alone and isolated.
It is isolation, yeah.
Death all around you, you know.
And the sound design helps that a lot.
Oh,
the sound effects and like the music, they really. I don't know if it's like quite like it's the frequencies and stuff they use, but it gives you that horror movie feeling.
Yes, it's because Hip Tanaka, who did the soundtrack for Metroid, he was again inspired by Alien, but it was the fact of there was more fear in the notes that were not played. So it's like his soundtrack emphasized the absence of sound. Jeez. Where it's like you have the initial like first 4 or 5 notes when you start the game. That's why it's like it's just beeps with a bass line. It's nothing else. Like there's nothing like populating at all. It's just the absence of the music makes it that much more isolated and that much more kind of terrifying.
Well, it's because you're kind of like anticipating certain notes that just don't ever come.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest thing about the end of the first Metroid was that it gave you that shock of now you have to escape the planet through the thing, which terrified a lot of kids.
Well, and that's very funny that actually that you bring that up, because a lot of games up to that point, you beat the last creature boss of the game. That's it. You start the credits roll, you get the victory music,
or you get a little splash image of,
or you get a splash image saying like congratulations, like the world is saved because of you, thanks, you're a hero. But in Metroid, they really turned it upside down from you, where it's like, okay, you kill Mother Brain, well guess what, now you have 60 seconds to get out of here, like because the planet's blowing up now. And it's, to me, that was insane, because that had never happened before in a game. And ever since TMNT1 on the Nintendo, I have absolutely despised countdowns. I get so freaked out from a countdown.
Yeah. So in the original Metroid, you're on Zebes.
Zebes.
That's the
planet
planet.
Zebes. Yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. I thought we had said you're on SR388.
No. It's that was that 2 or was that Super Metroid?
That was 2.
2. Okay.
SR388 is the Metroid homeworld.
Ah, that's right, because that's where you're actually trying to rid the planet of all the Metroids.
That's right. Because Super Metroid, you go back to Zebes, because then you end up going through that one little area where it's reminiscent of the first game. You remember?
Yes.
Like right out the beginning.
Yeah.
And then
because you can find, if I'm not mistaken, you can find an energy tank in that little area too,
which is awesome. Mm-hmm. That's such a cool nod.
It really was. So, but yeah, getting out of there, like, then that's when your like the end sequence would start, and that's when, depending on how quick you were, you got one of the very first twist endings of the Nintendo, and I would say honestly in gaming history, it was probably the most like the most twist ending of any video game.
What a twist!
Yeah, it honestly was.
Yeah,
M. Night Shyamalan would have been proud.
Samus is female. That was the biggest twist of all. No kid saw that coming.
Nope.
Because this whole time you're playing as just a faceless android.
Well, and it also doesn't help that the instruction booklet does not say Samus.
No, it doesn't.
It uses he.
And it does use...
It's a Seamus or whatever.
It does use he, yes. Multiple times in the instruction booklet. And so I think that it was because of that it really kind of proves that if you ever hear them talking about, like, oh, no, this was planned from the beginning, that Samus was a woman. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
It almost makes you...
How much of it was like a translation error, though?
Well, it could be, too, that the instruction booklet was made before, they had the idea of it, and then they made the instruction manual, and then game development.
And that very well could have been it.
Because, and this is such a funny thing about how Samus became a woman, is just the fact that some dude in the middle of development was like, hey, Wouldn't
it be cool?
Yeah, wouldn't it be neat if Samus was a woman? And they
If
were like,
Samus
sure!
took off her helmet and she had
Yeah.
wavy hair and
They just ran with it.
It's a woman. And yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, so I
That's
mean,
not gonna hurt anything.
for all we know, like that instruction manual and all that plot and stuff was already done,
And that could
then
have
they
been
just
it.
moved like halfway through development. They made that change and just didn't tell
Yeah,
anybody.
and I don't think that it was a mistranslation because you had things like Dr. Wright and Dr. Light, which is an honest to God, like that's just a mistranslation because they
but
the sound, but he and she are definitely are different enough that
yeah, but then you
that's
get
not,
translations like Bimmy and Jimmy.
yeah, but that's just like they're screwing up the name. They're not screwing up
but
the sex or the gender.
But it's still one of those things where it's just like, but back then, like there really wasn't guidelines for translating anything.
No, there really
So
wasn't.
if
but
they wanted to change stuff in the instruction booklet, they could for the U.S. release.
well, if they wanted to, yes.
Like they should. I guarantee you, if you went and compared like direct translations of the Japanese to the English for a lot of manuals, they probably have completely different stories.
Yeah, I don't know about completely, but probably enough of a difference.
Enough,
that
yeah,
it's,
that like
would be
characters
interesting.
are different and stuff like that. I mean, look at
Look at half the localizations they do for us compared to Japan. I mean,
Yeah.
look at what was that one game we did where you played as Jake, Surfer Dude Jake.
oh yeah,
What was that one? Where you're rescuing your fucking girlfriend.
The
And
magic
like
one.
here you're in our release he's like a fucking surfer California dude.
Oh shoot!
can't
What
remember
was
what
that game?
Wasn't Kid Cool.
No.
Totally rad.
Totally rad.
totally
yes,
rad.
totally rad.
Yes, but then
Yeah.
in Japan they're like cute anime characters. You know what I mean? Like it makes more sense than what was here. So it's like
well, and then like in the translation thing of being he in English in the instruction booklet could also be a mistake in that someone never, like whoever translated never saw like the end stuff of Samus without the suit. So it could have just been oh maybe it's just a he and then just kept going, like translated he once and then just kept going with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. See, that's
possible.
Could very well be.
the thing with like some of the stuff back then. There's like other than like individuals who like oh yeah this is why, but is it why or is it the modern like
Or is it X?
and with that we're done. We're done. Power Trip is done.
I summoned my best impression of Andy right there.
I know.
thanks.
No, but like
Thanks.
but,
Appreciate
like
that.
how much of it is like the whole like looking back and just like filling stuff in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So,
All right.
Got your notes?
you got your notes?
I do.
Did we tackle
What-
everything
did we do
from
everything from Metroid 1?
Metroid 1?
Are we
Yeah.
on to Metroid 2 now?
We're on to Metroid 2.
All right, the Game Boy comes
so
out.
we are.
That's right. Which this is such an old NES thing to have sequels jump from console to handheld.
Yeah.
It was not done very often.
I was gonna say that was
But
not
it did.
that was not a thing that happened often. In
No.
fact, there are very few, and Metroid is one of those that joins the ranks of the Gargoyles
Gargoyles
Quest
Quest.
trilogy, where it's and Kid Icarus, I think, and honestly, that might be it. Where the first 3 games of any series were on 3 completely separate systems.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Metroid did the same thing, where Metroid 1 was Nintendo, Metroid 2 was Game Boy, and Metroid 3 was Super Nintendo.
And then 4 was
And 4 was
Game Boy again.
Yeah, well, Game Boy Advance.
When
Right.
did the first Game Boy Mario game come out?
1989.
That was Super Mario Land.
Super Mario Land.
Yeah,
But that
so
was not. But that wasn't a. That wasn't a sequel.
Was that after? But was it? Is it though? Like, is it?
No,
I don't think
It's
those
not-
games.
those
games
aren't
really
collect-
follow a timeline.
they don't.
Oh, okay.
They
think
really
so.
don't. No.
Most of those aren't really referential.
But Mario 1 came out in 1985. Mario 2 came out in 1988.
Okay.
And then you had Land, which came out, and then Super Mario Brothers 3 in 1990.
Okay.
So I mean, it's those aren't considered like
Right.
part of the main storyline.
Oh,
with
okay.
games like
Nice.
Gargoyles Quest and with Metroid, it's like these are literally like the legit number 2.
Because I don't even think like Link's Awakening is even considered
No,
part of
that was never
the
part of the.
timeline.
No, it wasn't
In any
part of
part.
like a. It wasn't part of
Or
like
is
a,
it?
a series.
Right. Not the way like 1 and 2 are.
Yes,
Or...
because yeah. Well, and even so, you have one that came out in '87. You had two that came out in '89, and then Link's Awakening came out, or no, Link to the Past came out for the Super Nintendo, and then you just basically had an offshoot of that called Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. So it wasn't a direct like
really.
That wasn't Legend of Zelda 4.
No.
Okay.
So yeah, this one's jumped back and forth between both.
This one was a legit number 2 for the Game Boy,
which is just so odd. It's so odd that you would jump from console to handheld to console to handheld.
Yeah.
Because most people, I would say, like, if you didn't have a Game Boy and you ended up playing Super Metroid, you're like, where the fuck did this baby come from?
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose it does kind of make sense because they do kind of introduce the baby part at the beginning of Super Metroid, so I guess it's not that weird.
Yeah, they pull Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
They pretty much do almost like a recap of what happened at the very end of Metroid 2. Just to kind of catch people up. But Metroid 2 was a very odd case in the sense...
An odd duck.
Well, it was just in the sense that I feel like people knew it had come out, but at the same time, a lot of people played Super Metroid thinking like, what did I miss in between like the Nintendo version and this one? And so it just...
I grew up playing more of Metroid 2 than of the original Metroid.
Well, and it's funny because I think a lot of people just, it really kind of became the black sheep of the family, if you will.
Of course, yeah. The sequels often did back then.
But it's funny because, I mean, the game actually sold like over 1 million copies. So how, like... I don't know if it was one of those things that back then, like, people just forgot that they loved it, and then they realized that 1 and Super Metroid were so close together that it's like, oh, this one's really, really weird. Number 2 is just... bleh.
Well, and to go back to your point about, like, people saying, well, what did I miss, like, between 1 and 3, it's like, this also comes at a time when, like, gaming continuity wasn't really a thing.
No.
I mean, I honestly can't think of, well, any series, really, on the Nintendo that has, like, a 1 and a 2.
Yeah, that told a cohesive story.
Yeah. Whereas, like, these did...
Mm-hmm.
You all right there, Kevin?
Yeah, sorry.
Looked like he was going to either throw up, sneeze, burp, or fart.
Yawning, and then, like, something was, like, seizing. It was weird.
Oh, that was goofy.
Felt weird.
But yeah, like, continuity wasn't really a thing that's ever been done in gaming. So it's like, maybe that's why people were, like, baffled. They're like, what?
Maybe.
Or people were just dumb.
Well, yeah, you can never count that out.
I don't know if that's the case, but it's...
That's like the case 90% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I think Metroid 2 developed the formula a little bit more. I did like that. Like...
Yes, it did.
The way, like... It's weird to say it because, like, Game Boy is, like, a slightly, like, less powerful system. But, like, it felt more, like, fun to explore.
It did.
And compared to the original Metroid, it felt smoother.
It was more... And it's a hard way to say it because it's like, it was more linear, but more, like, it still was, like... Metroidvania. It was still exploratory.
Yeah.
In the sense that you could only go so far. You had to take out the Metroids, and then it was only after you killed all the Metroids, then the next, like,
the lava,
right, the lava would go,
down.
lava would go down, and then you could go to the next level to look for more Metroids.
Which is actually something funny that I wanted to bring up, is the fact that, like, the whole Metroidvania thing with the over... Because that genre is defined by the fact that there's one overworld, and then you move freely around that world.
You get the new abilities
to unlock different areas of that map.
Yeah.
The original Metroid, if you really think about it, is the only one that does not follow a linear path.
No.
Because I mean, you hit
outside the begining area, right?
Outside the beginning area to where you have to get the necessary abilities to travel, which is basically just the high jump shoes, really, and the missiles are all you need, and then it's a playground.
The morph ball, I think you need.
Well, the morph ball,
you're required to have that.
But other than that, like, you look at, like you just said, Metroid 2, you can't progress unless you drop the lava. Super Metroid, well,
Super Metroid plays a lot like the first Metroid.
Yeah, I suppose you can, kind of.
But there are certain areas where you cannot get to until you unlock, like, the equipment, basically.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
'cause you
There's,
need,
I
like,
suppose there's
super
more.
missiles and-
There's more technical locks
Yes,
than there
yeah.
was in the original.
Yeah.
So that one, I suppose, is kind of is more the first one. But then, like 4, it's definitely segregated to like those areas
Yes.
that you have to follow this path.
I just find it funny that it was Castlevania Symphony of the Night where the phrase Metroidvania came from.
Yeah,
But yet, Metroid had done it
yeah.
long before Castlevania did.
Yeah.
But yet, it took a Castlevania game to say,
Well,
yes,
I
this
think
is a
it's
Metroidvania.
I wonder if part of that's because of like the stylization of it,
I mean, it
and
could
like the
have
more
been.
it was more accessible with the Castlevania games than it was with Metroid.
I mean, maybe, but it could also have just been because of how popular
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night was at the time.
But yeah, that was just one point I wanted to bring up is like the linearity of like how it's changed and like Metroid kind of strayed away from the Metroidvania style, if that makes sense.
Sort of, yeah.
It keeps the idea of it, but doesn't quite hit the way the first one does. Kind of
No.
like Legend of Zelda does the same thing. Or if you think about all the ones that came after it, it kind of never really hits that point that like the first one did in
Breath of the
terms
Wild.
of exploration. Well, yeah, Breath of the Wild was basically this generation's
Zelda
original,
1.
Zelda
Yeah.
1 for all intents and purposes.
Because like outside of like one or two first starting steps, you're not. There's nothing to hold you back other than your skill, I suppose.
yeah,
Well, although I suppose there are certain areas that obviously still need the equipment because you can't get across without the raft. You can't get across without the ladder.
right.
So
And you get those in the actual labyrinths, yeah.
yeah.
So,
So there are certain ones you still kind of have to do before you can do other ones. So
but I can't remember when it was that I actually played Metroid 2 for the first time. But I honestly loved that game.
It was fantastic.
The first time I played it, I'm just like, I can't believe that this came out on a Game Boy system. And yes, I will say, okay, the screen limitations, yes, it would have been a heck of a lot better had you been able to have a bigger screen to see more and stuff. But your character looked absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah,
The different types of Metroids that you encounter, from the alphas to the betas and the gammas. I mean, some of them are just downright terrifying. And
especially like as they're getting bigger when you watch them,
or you can actually and you can actually watch them like hatch from the eggs and stuff,
That
and
was
then
the
they get
coolest
bigger.
part.
It's like, holy crap, this is actually happening like in a game in 1990.
Alpha, Gamma, Zeta, and Omega.
Yes, the
were the four different
Omegas were the
stages.
the Omegas were the freaking.
those are the big
ugh.
ones.
God.
Yeah.
But the game was absolutely terrifying, but it made you want to keep playing, especially because you had a countdown of how many Metroids were in that area. Once you took out all of them, then the lava would go down, and then a new area would be there to explore. It was a perfect. It was a perfect storm of just wanting to keep playing and keep on making it through. And honestly, it was so good. And just the fact that I think if anybody loves the Metroid series, they have to take Metroid 2 as... I honestly think everybody's favorite Metroid is probably Metroid, Super Metroid.
Oh, yeah.
And you have...
No, they're wrong.
And you have Metroid 2 to thank for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Metroid 2 introduced so much of the equipment that has now.
The spider ball,
the spring ball.
Yeah, the spring ball.
There was two weapons that were introduced: Spazzer and the phaser. What is it? Plasma beam.
The
which
plasma
passes
beam,
through enemies.
yes.
The Spazzer was cool because it's the one that split into the three.
Oh, yes.
Which I think
yeah.
they did in. Isn't that in Fusion as well?
I think it's in Fusion or...
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, yeah, they did it for the remake of
Yeah.
Metroid 2, Samus Returns.
But it's funny because Metroid 2 is what gave Samus her iconic look when she
Yes.
gets the Various suit.
Yes.
This was the game that was responsible for that.
Oh,
because-
yeah, that's right. It had the various suit.
Yeah, in the original game, she just changed colors. Well, on a Game Boy, you can't really do that with a grayscale. So it's like
did the bigger
they did the bigger
shoulders
shoulders and they
Yeah.
buffed up the suit, which is now her iconic look.
Which is funny because when the Metroid Classic series came out on the Nintendo, they used that suit for the cover of the Nintendo game, which came from the Game Boy game.
Yeah, so it's like you have Metroid 2 to thank for, like, basically her entire character.
Her look, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Metroid 2, I remember playing it, oh god, when I was a kid, around maybe nighttime, you know, I would go to, my parents make me go to bed 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I, you know,
sheet over the head,
and I had
a light boy?
I had the little light that plugged into the side.
Hell yeah, you had the light boy.
Absolutely, and I would play Game Boy. I've beaten so many games in the cover of night. I tell you,
I had the magnifying battery pack one that went on the top.
Oh
yep,
yeah,
I had that too.
Because I played a lot of Metroid 2 on car trips to Detroit. So like I would just like lay in the back seat of the van.
I'm jealous of you. I could not play video games while in a moving car. I would just get so sick.
I had the thing that actually was a magnifier. So you'd open it up. It has the two speakers,
I didn't have that
the magnifier, and then the backlight.
Oh, interesting. You had a whole setup.
He had the big one. I hated that
thing.
One.
Was fucking amazing because I didn't have the brick. I started off with the Pocket.
Oh, really?
That was my first system. Was the Game Boy Pocket?
Oh yeah, no, mine was the brick.
Yeah,
mine was the brick.
Mine was the gray brick.
Mine was literally like the magnifier I had. When you put it on, in order to switch the game,
you had to take it off.
Take it off.
But yeah, that was it. Was but Metroid 2 was one of the games I had beaten in you know, under night cover.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll never forget it because I absolutely adored it. I remember never being able to put it down.
Yeah.
I woke up the next morning very tired a lot of times. I wanted to keep playing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
yeah, honestly, I think that number 2 is such an underrated gem of the Metroid series. Nobody really talks about it all that much, and honestly, to me, it's their loss. It's their loss at that point because it was a fantastic game. It was so well done for the limitations that they had. I could not believe that was capable on a Game Boy.
Yeah,
yeah, it was just really well thought out.
Yeah.
I also have to point something out. Little trivia nugget here.
Ah.
So, SR388.
Yes.
It was named after a motorcycle, not Alien. It was revealed in an interview in 2004
well, but
that the name of SR388 was named after the Yamaha SR400.
They still use the same.
It's the same thing.
It's the same lettering scheme.
But that's why they. Well, so is
SR.
the motorcycle.
Yeah. Oh, sure. So it's SR is why they. Yeah.
There you go.
Interesting.
Well, I always like proving you wrong.
Super Roadster, whatever.
Okay.
And then they
Very
shit the bed, and Super Metroid came out.
Super Metroid, man. Move on to that fucking.
And then it made history.
Oh my god.
Okay, see, I know this is gonna sound
fucking
weird,
Metroid.
but like Super Metroid did not feel as fun to me as Metroid 2 did. It's weird. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like the directional being able to aim and stuff. That you also had to get used to.
I'm there with you. Super Metroid to me doesn't rank as high as the other three. It's actually the last one in my.
For me, it is too.
thing.
Like it just something about it feels different, and I've never been able to quite like
put your finger on it. Yeah. Well, I have to say I am a little bit. I attack it from the other direction because I played Castlevania Symphony of the Night before I played Super Metroid.
Really?
I had never played Super Metroid. Like growing up, I actually never
That's
really.
surprising.
Growing up, I never really played the Metroid series.
What a freak you are!
I
Get
know.
off! Get out of here!
I know.
Yeah.
Power trip's done.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because Metroid is like one of my favorite series of all time now.
Yeah.
And I had played Symphony of the Night before I played Super Metroid, and when I played Super Metroid for the first time, I thought, oh my god, like this is where they got Symphony of the Night from. Is literally from this game.
Yeah.
Like just the way, the atmosphere, the save points and stuff, like where you could go to save anywhere. It's like it was just incredible, and so I think that's why I ultimately loved it as much as I did, is because it was so much like Symphony of the Night. But
Maybe. I mean, it was still a fantastic.
It's still
Oh,
great.
yeah.
It's just,
I do like Super Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Super Metroid. To me, it was the soundtrack. I didn't care for the soundtrack of Super Metroid
See, and
compared to the other.
See, and I love the soundtrack to Super Metroid. It's one of my favorites on the system.
Yeah. Well, because I am sort of like... Well, I'm sort of like you, where I didn't play Super Metroid until late because I grew up as a Genesis kid. I didn't have a Super Nintendo till my adulthood.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't really experience Super Metroid until way after the fact. So, way after I've played Fusion and 2.
So you had already had, so you'd already had kind of like your sentimentality was for 1 and 2 and the earlier ones,
But, like, Super Metroid to me, maybe it was, I mean, don't get me wrong, the game's still a classic. Like, the ability to fire in all the directions was a huge improvement. The extra abilities you get. And
Except for Grapple Beam. Fuck Grapple Beam.
The Grapple Beam was flawed.
It was flawed. The Grapple Beam was flawed. It was hard to use.
I don't think they had precision down enough on those types of controllers for that type of movement that they wanted to do.
They kind of compensated for that, though, with the ability to use the trigger as her diagonal aim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it still doesn't.
It kind of worked. It was just the fact of getting off of it was not great.
Mm-hmm. But what I would say is the biggest flaw for me of the game is honestly, it's not even of the game itself, but it's a victim of its success in the same way that Symphony of the Night was. Is that it was so beloved and so well done that it unfortunately became the standard of this is how Metroid games have to be. Like, they have to be copied like this now.
Kind of like how Link to the Past became the standard for Zelda.
The Link to the Past was so beloved that that's how that's how Link looked in the next however many games.
Hence why we've never had another game quite, or at all, like Adventures of Link.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. You're right. And so... Even in the same way Super Mario 3 kind of did it, because you never had another game like Super Mario 2.
No.
So, like, you're right. I think that's exactly right.
And it's games that back then were liked. And now all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, that game sucked.
Can't believe I'm saying this. In Mario's defense, Super Mario 3 was superior in every way to 2.
Well, that's very true. The only thing 2 had was difference of characters.
Yeah. He came to the defense of Mario.
I know. It's weird.
Shit.
Wow.
I must be sick. But like,
feeling okay?
That's one of those ones where like there was very little to learn from Mario 2 that Mario 3 and the other games didn't improve upon.
That's true.
At least with like Zelda 2, there was a bunch of shit they could have learned from that one the later Zelda games.
I know, but I mean, they've literally pulled nothing from Zelda 2.
No,
not one iota from that game has ever leaked into another game.
Well, and I feel like that's where, like, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of stuff from Metroid 2 showed up in Super Metroid then some, but now everybody thinks, like, oh no, like,
Super Metroid did this.
Super Metroid is the one that is doing this, and all this stuff that came from Super Metroid, it's like, no, it really didn't. It came from Metroid 2, but they, for all intents and purposes, I don't think they've ever really went back to it, other than the remake that they did, Samus Returns. But they've really done a pretty thorough job of kind of almost erasing Metroid 2 from the Metroid series.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
Well, that wasn't until the remake.
Yeah, but...
Right.
But still, but like I said, though, I think that Super Metroid just unfortunately became a victim of its own success. In the same way that Symphony of the Night did, where then it became the standard and everybody just said,
yep, shadow on everything else that does the same stuff.
And everything else that came after it had to look like that, otherwise it wasn't Metroid. It wasn't Castlevania if it didn't follow this pattern. And it's like, you don't need to do that. But
and to its credit, though, Super Metroid is pretty fucking incredible. It recaptured that feeling of the first one to a T, and then added upon it.
Well,
I mean, you're exploring the same planet, but it's completely different. You're in the ruins.
To be honest, the expanded art style in that one, I absolutely love it.
Yes,
me too.
And like the color palette and stuff.
You have the expanded style. You have the different environments where you have Norfair, you have Brinstar, you have Meridia. Yeah. You have all these cool, very unique locations. And on top of that, it makes it so easy to explore because then you started having the mini-map
Yeah,
that you
it did the auto map for you.
that you could refer to. So it's like you knew exactly where you were going, and it made you want to explore because you knew, oh, I've been here before, or hey, this is a new area, I've never been here before.
Yeah.
So let's see what this is about.
Metroid 2 didn't have a map.
I don't believe it did. No.
It didn't, did
No.
it? I was trying to think if it did.
The only map
I wanna
that
say
is
that
the
you-
one that came in the box, I believe.
I don't think there was a map that came with the box.
Because I had one growing up.
In
Did
2?
you?
Yeah.
I feel like there was, but
I
maybe
think
there
Metroid
wasn't.
2 came with the map.
No, I think you're right. Okay, yeah. 3 was the first one to introduce an auto map.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't remember
In-game, I
if
should
I couldn't
say.
remember if you pushed start if it showed you where you were going.
Yeah, maybe not in 2, but I think
not-
there was a
but yes,
poster.
but
Yeah, I
there
think
was.
there's a poster that came with it.
Oh no, I gotta find it. 'Cause I don't think I don't think I have a poster.
Yeah. I mean, that would be pretty fucking cool if it did have
Mm-hmm.
a game, because that's always what Metroid needed was some form of map.
It needed that map. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, I honestly think that after Super Metroid, you can't make a 2D Metroid game anymore without the map.
No.
You
Did
just- you
Super
can't.
Metroid have like the mini map in the corner, or was
Yes.
that
Yeah.
okay?
It had
cool.
the mini
That's what I
map.
thought.
It had the mini map in the upper right hand corner.
Which then
Yeah.
became a staple.
Yes.
To be honest, not even just in Metroid, but in that genre in general.
Yes.
All of those games
All of them
have
had
a
the
form of a
mini-maps.
mini map, which
Yep.
is incredible. Like how influential is your game series where you've literally just redefined an entire genre?
Mm-hmm.
Or well, I should say just defined a genre.
Oh yeah, for
You know
sure.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that's why I hate that Metroid doesn't like there's not more hype for it.
No. Well, and it's weird because and this is one thing that I always have a hard time wrapping my head around. Because you have game series that have been super popular, like obviously like the Mario series. I mean, where you have games like Super Mario Bros. On the Nintendo sold over 40 million copies.
Yeah.
Super Mario 2. Let's see. Hold on. Oh my god. What is wrong with you?
So much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where do
fine.
we start?
I mean, you even have like games like Dr. Mario on the Game Boy sold 5 million copies.
Jesus.
Super let's see, Dr. Mario on the NES was 4.85 million. Holy crap, where is God, there's been so many Mario games.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, the Lost Levels
it's
sold
almost ridiculous.
The Lost Levels, which didn't even come out here. It only came out in Japan. Sold 2.65 million copies. And so obviously you have a very successful franchise of Mario. But when you think about, okay, what are the most successful IPs that Nintendo has ever created, people would be very quick to say Mario, Link, and Metroid. Or like it's Samus.
Yeah.
Like those characters are probably the most iconic, and Simon Belmont, the
Yeah.
Castlevania series. And so you have these high sales figures, but then you look at the Metroid series, the first one, which was considered an absolute success, sold 2.7 million copies. In like compared to Mario, which was at like 40 million. Because
Jesus.
I mean, yes, it was a packing game, but then you look at a game like Zelda, the first Zelda game, sold 6.5 million copies, and then you had Metroid, which only sold 2.7 million copies.
like a drop in the hat.
It's such a drop, but it became such an iconic series. But then when you actually look at all of their other sales, like that Metroid did, I mean, you think, okay, Super Metroid, landmark game, must have sold like at least 5-6 million copies.
Mhm.
It had to have, because it's so well beloved and so many people know of that game's existence. Sold 1.4 million copies.
Which one?
Super Metroid.
Get out of here.
Super Metroid.
That can't be.
1.4 million.
Wow. That's surprising.
Metroid Fusion was 1.6 million.
What was Metroid 2?
Metroid 2, 1.7 million.
Really?
Yeah.
That is insane to me.
One of the most successful Metroid games of all time was Metroid Prime,
That I believe.
2.8 million. It still doesn't even hold a hat to any game in the Zelda franchise. How can
No.
something so beloved and so iconic as Samus and the Metroid series have been such low sellers.
Well, because it could be one of those things where
Is that
the
like
art and the style become part of like the zeitgeist, but they don't actually.
the games themselves?
The games themselves
Kind of like,
are just a passing like blip.
Kind of like the Metal Gear series, where those games themselves you'd think would be successful, but they've actually had diminishing returns since, what was it, Solid 1?
Since the first game.
So like 3 and 4.
No,
I think
since
I
the
think so was the
NES.
second one.
No, I thought
No,
Solid did super
Solid
great.
did super good.
But
like
then
they
2,
still
3,
like
and
they've
4,
never.
like 2, 3, and 4 were basically they were like weren't they getting losses
Well,
on those?
Well, even Metal Gear Solid 1, I don't think it ever like made a substantial profit. The Metal Gear Solid franchise as a whole is like it's a money pit for Konami.
I thought
which is-
Solid 1 was
which is
highly,
why-
That's- I thought so
Which is
too.
why Konami never really wanted to keep letting
Kojima.
Kojima
Yeah.
keep doing anything he wanted, was because he would pump more money into the games than they would ever make out of them.
I find that hard to believe with Solid 1. Because that's like
Yeah,
one of
well.
that, like when somebody talks PlayStation, hell,
What are
you
best-
just say Metal Gear,
Yeah.
they're like they imagine
Metal Gear Solid?
Solid,
Yeah.
not the original Metal Gear for the Game
No.
Boy
Yeah.
or for the NES.
and for the NES, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that's-
it's one of those weird franchises where it's not a moneymaker.
well, that much I know. But
It's
yeah,
just
they've made
weird.
like 5 of these fucking games, more than that probably.
Way more.
Yeah,
'Cause then
well, the
that's-
Solids, yeah, anyway.
Well, because you got Metal Gear Solid 1, 2,
Solid.
3, 4, 5. Then you have like Peace Walker,
Acid.
1 and 2, I think, and then there was Acid, and those are all part of the same.
Yeah,
So,
because I mean, even the remake
and then
had to have done pretty
and then
good.
you had like the VR missions. Then you had Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Yeah,
I mean, Metal Gear Solid worldwide, 6 million copies.
and that's just the original release.
That's just the original release.
So that's still pretty good.
The
Well, yeah, I'm
Metal Gear Solid 2, 7 million worldwide.
Are you serious?
Metal Gear Solid 3 worldwide, that may be
Three
when
is-
it started dropping, because then you had 4.3 million. And then Metal
which is
Gear
funny because like if you hear fans talk, 3 is like the best in the series.
Metal Gear Solid the Twin Snakes didn't even sell 100,000 copies.
That's
Wasn't that the remake?
That's the remake.
That's the
I
remake
thought
of
that-
1.
and that one was pretty fucking good. That was
Yeah.
a good remake.
71,592.
I wonder if that's because of the platform, because that was
it could have
GameCube.
been.
yeah.
And honestly, GameCube I don't think was very successful,
So
even
Metal-
though it was such a great system.
So Metal Gear Solid 5 sold 6 million copies.
That one was
Or
also
4,
because
4 sold, yes, that, and then 5 did 7 million plus copies, which makes me think that, okay, if the series is not selling all that well, or if it's not making money, it's because of how much money they're pumping into
Yeah,
it.
I was about to
that's-
say, maybe we're
Where
comparing apples
yes,
and oranges.
I think that's what
Yeah.
might be what's going on.
that's
here.
that's why, like I said, like Konami
it
just
seems
doesn't.
pretty. It seems pretty successful to me.
They like sales numbers are great, but then when you figure in
how much it
budget
cost.
that he uses and
Yeah.
then marketing and stuff, they don't make money back.
It's basically just advertising for Konami.
Yeah, I was about to say,
At
if
that point.
Kojima was putting just 200 million in something, but then like Metroids are putting in 10,
Yeah.
I suppose really Metroid is the victor then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that makes more sense
Yeah,
because I'm
but
like
to-
those numbers you'd think.
Yeah,
Wow.
But to me, the biggest eye-opening moment was the fact that Samus Returns, the remake in 2017 for the 3DS. When you think that there are so many 3DSs out there,
Yeah.
the population
It's
of
so
how many sales,
terrible.
it's been like I honestly want to say like 100 million probably have sold of 3DSs, and that game, it's a Metroid series game, first one in like so
Long time. 2D.
Yeah, 2D. I think actually outside of Federation Force, Metroid Prime, it was the first Metroid game in 7 years. It sold less, like just a hair over 500,000 copies. What?
Wow.
The number at the top.
Nintendo 3DS family, 75 million. That's such a
That's
huge
all
base.
3D. That's all 3DS like variants, but that's still
is such a huge
that's
base.
a lot of fucking 3DSs.
And I know we've talked about this probably ad nauseum about this point, but it's like this also came off. This is like Samus Returns was coming right off the heels of the Switch.
Yes, the Switch came out in March, and what was it? Samus Returns came out in October or September.
Sadly, like the Switch killed the 3DS.
Yeah,
which makes sense. I mean, it's what they were going for.
Yep.
But at the same time, like that was just bad timing.
But that's why I'm super excited for Dread, because I think that Metroid is finally gonna get its time in the sun now, where you're gonna see that this game is gonna sell multiple millions of copies. And because there's the client base is out there for all of the Switch owners, but it's a Metroid game, and you're finally gonna see there's a lot of lovers of the Metroid series out there.
Honestly, I think the numbers for Samus Returns would have easily doubled had they
put it on the Switch
held
instead.
it off and put it on the Switch instead.
Yes, definitely.
If they had not done 3DS and held off, released it on Switch, that easily would have broke a million.
To be honest, I'm surprised they haven't ported it over in anticipation for Dread.
I think that's well, and I think that's why there's been so many copies of Breath of the Wild that's sold. Is that game has actually sold 24 million copies.
As a system seller.
But that's also because of the fact that was at one point that was like the only game on the system.
Yeah.
So it's like
it was Super Bomberman R and Just Dance or something.
So it's like you want to Switch? Well, guess what? This is you have a very limited amount of games to pick from. So guess what? You may want to get this one and just enjoy it. So.
Yeah.
But I honestly think that. Yeah, had they done that, had they released Metroid Return of Samus for the Switch at that same time too, you would have saw those numbers go up just because
100%.
people just wanted to play games on the Switch at that point. It was a new system.
And it would have done great.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like we'd said, this is such an underrated series, and yet it's not. It's such an enigma.
It is an absolute enigma in the sense that a lot of video game people know it, love it, but the sales numbers just do not reflect that many people know what the Metroid series is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think I've ever met a gamer who says that they just don't like the Metroid series.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It still baffles me.
Yeah.
But like Super Metroid, like I said, it's iconic. Everyone who had a Super Nintendo owned Super Metroid.
I suppose there's another way that you can relate to it. I suppose Metroid is basically the equivalent of like comic book characters. Tons of people know who they are. Not a lot of people actually read comics.
I suppose that's true.
It could be.
I mean, I know who all the Avengers are.
Yeah, but like
I don't read comics.
Yeah, so it could be one of those things. Like I said, it became part of the cultural like pop phenomenon. Like just because of how iconic it looks, and it became like a household name because of like Nintendo Power and stuff like that. And
you had Mother Brain in the Captain
and the
cartoon
and comic books too.
Yeah, so like it became stuff like that, and it persisted because of stuff like that. Because people who knew it would see it and be like, oh yeah, that's the Metroid thing, and they maybe never played the game.
They see Samus says, oh, it's Metroid.
Yeah, well, I mean,
just like everybody.
Metroid, you here for Metroid?
Like people will see Link and they'll be, oh yeah, Zelda.
Yeah.
So
my guess is it's probably something like that. And then, like, other than people who, like, were already playing the games.
Yeah, that could be. Because, like I said, everybody that I know who... You see a Super Metro or a Super Nintendo in their house, there's Super Metroid right there on the shelf.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know? And rightfully so. Game's great. Beginning to end, it's not... I wouldn't say it's an easy game, but it's not a hard game.
No.
Like, some of the bosses can be a little trickier, but, like, that ending... is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the most awesome, heart-wrenching, but yet satisfying moments when Mother Brain... and poor baby Metroid, all grown up.
Metroid
saves you because you're his mommy.
You're the Metroid's mommy. Yep.
It's so cute.
And that baby saves you again.
Yeah, twice over.
Yeah.
With Fusion.
That's right.
Yep.
Which, we'll move on to Fusion. Right after Metroid 3. Super Metroid. You go, she's exploring a thing. She gets infected with this X parasite, which takes over her suit.
Yep.
And the only way they can fight off this X parasite is with its natural predator, the Metroid.
Yep.
Well, her stupid ass wiped out all the Metroids. Good job, Samus.
Well, but see, that's the funny thing is, like, without the Metroids, the X overpopulate way too quickly.
Yeah.
but Metroids themselves overpopulate any environment too quickly.
That's right. Metroid's never really had a predator.
No.
So it's one of those things where it's like having either of them sucks. Having neither, like one or like not having Metroid sucks. So it's like you're kind of screwed unless you quarantine like a single planet for them to live on.
Yeah. It's which.
And even then, with the way
388,
then with the way they mutate, Metroids mutate constantly. Who's to say they wouldn't have eventually gotten off the planet anyways?
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. But I honestly think that Metroid Fusion is basically the precursor for what Dread became.
Oh yeah.
Because that was the first time, even though the Metroid series had been known for just isolation and kind of fear elements where you were just kind of fearful to explore because you were so alone and so isolated. This was the first time where it almost turned it into... It had slight feelings of survival horror because you were being hunted by something. By something that was constantly following you, constantly on your trail, that was scary, that was unknown, and you didn't know how to fight it, basically. And
well, you couldn't fight it.
No, you really couldn't.
Because how many of us tried that first time?
Yep. Dropped down, just started pumping missiles, and was like, I'm dead.
I think I'm in over my head. Yeah. So the SAX, oh god, and the first time that they show the SAX, where it's Samus's face, but there's no eyes. It's just like white eyes, and you're just like, this is terrifying. And then the music goes down, and it's like the lights go down, and you could just see the SAX's light like looking for you, and you're just like, oh my god. I will admit, the first time that I got to an SAX scene,
he shit himself.
I held my breath because I didn't want it to hear me. I literally held my breath.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fusion was the perfect blend.
I remember the first time I played Fusion, and I felt, and I even told you, I said, I think it's sacrilege to say this because people love Super Metroid so much, but I think Fusion's my favorite. Mm-hmm. It takes everything that was great about Super Metroid, but it throws in that survival horror aspect and that horror aspect that I just absolutely adore. And I just thought, like, this is really good. This is by far my favorite.
Yeah, its debut week has sold above 100,000 units.
Which it was on the coattails. It released the same day as Metroid Prime.
Yep.
And there
August 22nd, 2002.
Yeah. Holy cow! We're going up on 19 years. It's going to be soon to be 19 years.
Oh, I'm sorry. Fusion had a release day November 18th. On August 22nd, it announced that the game could connect with Prime.
Oh, they didn't release on the. Oh, they didn't release on the same day. I thought that they were. Oh, I thought that they
were close.
I remember that. Okay. You could use the link cable and get the suit.
And that's because they tried to interconnect them where you could do things on Fusion that would then translate into Prime, and you could get stuff by like having it talk to your system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you get other than the suit?
I think that was it.
Oh, okay.
You just got the Fusion suit.
It was probably more of like can we do this? Is it possible?
Yeah.
And it was a way of just kind of cross-selling. So.
But yeah, it was Fusion was the first one to use cutscenes.
Yeah.
As shown, like what you so eloquently put, the Samus without the eyes, which was fucking terrifying.
Oh god.
And it was the first one to give you more direct orders. It basically was the game became almost mission based.
Yeah.
Where they're gonna tell you where to go. And that's that was a first for the series.
Yeah.
So that's because now you're not alone anymore. In the other ones, well, technically you are still because it's a computer.
Yeah.
But somebody's actually talking to you. Whereas the other ones, there's literally no dialogue.
Well, and it's so funny because even though in this one you feel like it's probably the closest you've ever felt to not being alone because you constantly have Adam talking to you, but you have never felt more scared in any Metroid game.
Yeah.
Like since this one.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because it's like you're not actually technically alone, but yet I'm more terrified now than I was like just by myself because I know that nothing was chasing me.
Yep, and this one also introduced multiple versions of the missiles besides just the super missile.
Yeah,
you
the
got
ice fusion.
ice missiles and the diffusion missiles.
Yeah, I love the diffusion
Oh,
one.
those ones, yes.
You open it up with the
I
ice
was gonna-
beam, it charges, and then it hits and does the spiral.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say with the with Super Metroid, you had the different kinds of missiles. You had the regular
Regular and
missile,
super.
the super missile, and then you also had the bombs and then the super bombs.
Yep.
Yes. This one just had the ice missiles and diffusion, which increased the blast radius.
I'm sorry, not super bomb. The power bombs.
Power bombs.
Because every time I see power bomb, I just think of for some reason I always thought of
The wrestling move.
Yeah, Big Van Vader.
Stupid.
I don't know why. Whenever I was gonna use a power bomb, it was like, power bomb time.
But yes, and I agree with you. This one's my favorite of all
It's
time.
by
Fusion's fucking incredible.
By far.
Yeah.
Like, I've enjoyed the Prime series. I enjoyed Other M. But, like, Fusion, there was something special about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many batteries I killed on my 3D.
Your
Game Boy-
SP.
No, I had...
Not
I
batteries.
had-
The
No, I had that clear purple Game Boy Color.
oh, you had the first Game Boy Advance that actually
Yeah, that's
did run
the-
on
yeah.
batteries.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't the rechargeable battery pack.
No,
that was
mine
in
was like the purple,
in the,
clear one
the
where you
SP.
could pull open the back.
Yes.
Mine was
Oh,
like...
Yours
first
didn't even
grade.
have the backlight then.
No.
The original
Oh
ones
my
didn't have the
God.
backlights. Yeah.
That's right, because the SP had the
Had
backlight.
the backlight.
That was a true upgrade to your
Yes,
system.
it was.
Yep.
Yes, it was.
The SP was fan-fucking.
My only thing with the SP is the SP felt too small for my hands.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
have-
the SP was pretty small.
I'm a big dude, so like my hands are bigger. So like having the wider like Game Boy
Yeah,
Advance was
yeah.
nice.
It was, and honestly, I think it was a bigger screen too.
It might have been.
Yeah, I
might
think
have
it was.
been a
It
little
was a bigger. Yeah, it was a little bit
Yeah.
of a bigger screen.
But yeah, mine was.
So-
But mine was like in that era when
Yeah.
all handhelds were like that cool clear plastic. and
Oh,
stuff
of
like
course,
that.
That was
atomic,
such a thing.
atomic purple. It was like ever since the Game Boy Color.
I loved those. Granted, yes, it did suck when you're like all of a sudden light shifts and you're like, gotta move so I can see.
exactly. That was the one thing that,
That
I
was the
couldn't
worst.
stand. I couldn't stand that about the not backlit. It's like where somebody would move like in your way and you're just like, can't see.
That's why they had the port where you could do like the Game Boy to Game Boy communication where you could do like the light and stuff. I think on that one too.
Oh, okay.
So it was like one of those spiral book lights that just kind of.
Oh yes. I remember those. Yes,
Oh,
I remember those.
All right. Well, around the same time Fusion came out, we had Zero Mission,
Oh yes.
the
Yeah.
remake of the original, which people didn't like as much, even though it actually gave us more of a backstory to her.
It
because
did.
it explained a little bit about her past like with Ridley.
Yeah.
And then you had that extra segment when you didn't have the suit anymore.
Yeah, at the very end. So what happened in the original game, in the original Nintendo game, is you beat Mother Brain, you do the escape pattern, and then you get into your ship, you take off, and the planet explodes. Well, what happens in Zero Mission?
well, except for the planet doesn't explode technically.
Oh, no, it doesn't explode, but it's wherever you were, that's where it was exploding. But in the Zero Mission remake, they added something where once you got into your ship and you took off, the pirates chased after you, your ship crash landed back on the planet, and then you basically you lost all of your equipment.
You had your stun gun.
I think you only had a stun gun, and they took you prisoner, and so you then had to escape the lair of the space pirates.
Mm-hmm.
And so it ended up being like this whole like new scenario. Granted, that
It
scenario
went into like stealth.
yeah,
almost.
granted that scenario only was like 15-20 minutes, but
Yeah.
still it was a nice little bonus where you thought the game was going to end and it didn't. It didn't end.
And
It just kept
it
going.
gave us the modern now in iconic and like Smash stuff like the Zero suit.
Mhm.
Yes.
Pretty
Because
much.
like
yeah.
her original suit in the first game when you beat it with enough time looks nothing like the Zero suit.
Oh no.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
basically
for God's sakes, it's a swimsuit that's like
Yeah.
that's purple or pink.
Yeah, basically that's that skin tight, almost
Blue.
latex looking
Yeah, the blue suit, yeah.
Zero suit Samus
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
from this game.
yeah.
Zero Suit Samus. And the sales numbers definitely reflected that people did not really care for this game. It didn't even sell 1 million copies.
No, a lot of
900,000.
a lot of criticisms for its short length were a thing, and it
was a Nintendo game, and
Right.
and honestly, it was like 3 or 4 hours. To me, like that's the sweet spot.
I'm gonna start
That's
writing
the
bad
sweet
reviews.
spot of
I'm
video
gonna start
games.
writing bad reviews for Donkey Kong for being too short.
Yeah, right. Well, they said, like, a lot of places said, unless you, like, were coming into this series fresh, like, this is your first Metroid game, you probably won't enjoy it as someone who's enjoyed the other 3. Or 4, I guess. Because this is
I
just
don't
a
know.
stale, whatever.
It's one,
yeah.
but it was updated in like Super Metroid style, and
Yeah.
I think that honestly, it was very well done.
I thought it was fantastic for what they
yeah.
did with it.
If it wasn't so expensive, I would buy myself a copy of it.
Hopefully I still have my copy.
Oh, you do? Oh, I'm pretty sure you do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do, too.
So
that's all the
but that's
mainline, I
That is
guess.
the mainline 2D Metroid games until.
No, technically, other M
Well,
does it's,
Other M's
it's
not really 2D, though.
no, it wasn't really 2D.
well, it's at
and in-
2.5, but
and
it
in-
is still technically one of the main lines.
And I would almost even say that the remake of 2, Return of Samus, was somewhat of a pseudo 3D as well too, where it was
well,
2D,
even
but there were-
Dread's going to be that 2.5D.
yeah, but it was
so.
there was elements where it's like, oh, this is not just
'Cause
quite
I
2D.
think Dread is going to like the remake is fully rendered in 3D, but then only uses like the 2D static camera angles, except for certain areas.
Gosh. Oh, it's almost like it's like what Capcom did with the Street Fighter characters, where they were all fully rendered in 3D, like the characters were, but the environments were still 2D.
No, from what it looks like, the environments are probably going to be 3D too, but they're just going to use static cam on the side.
Oh, gotcha.
And then the camera will shift, because there's in one of the trailers, Samus gets like the upgraded like super beam to destroy one of the Emmys, and like the camera, she charges the beam, and the camera goes behind her and she shoots it.
Yeah.
So
Well, outside of that, though, you've got the 2D series, but then you had the 3D, fully immersive 3D series, which was the Prime
Good
series.
old Prime series.
And this is the one that you will be able to talk more about than I am, just because I've never fully completed Metroid Prime 1, and I think we're only, halfway through, what is it, Other M?
Other M, yeah.
So
And to be honest,
that's my only experience with the Prime series. I have all the games. I have 1, 2, and 3. I've got Other M, but I've just never given the time to those games as I have to the original series of them.
Yeah, and even I played most of 1, but I'm like you, I haven't finished it.
Yeah.
And I have never played 2 or 3, though I would like to. I
Oh,
really do want to
Interesting.
finish
I
it.
really thought that you had
finished-
played 2 or 3.
I finished 1. Trying to remember which one is 2. Is 2 the
2 is
Echoes?
That's the one where you
Echoes.
have the light blast, or the light gun and the dark gun. And you switch
That's
between the
where
two.
that was what
then which one
introduced
was-
Dark Samus.
Then which one was 3?
That's
3 was Corruption.
I think I beat 2 and then I started 3.
Because this all takes place in their timeline. This takes place between the original Metroid and Metroid 2.
Yeah.
Ah,
Samus.
gotcha.
Where
So
you're
it's before you
basically
go-
battling the space pirates and their experiments
It's-
on this Talon
Yeah.
4 or whatever.
Yeah.
5.
It's before you go to SR388.
Yes. But it experiences it explains more of her backstory and more of the Chozo, and
There's
talks
a lot
about
of lore in those.
this is basically the first part of the series where you get extensive history of Samus and where she came from and all of like the
Yeah.
just like where her like how she had the suit.
I think even
I love scanning like the messed up pirates like attempts at
Yeah.
copying the suit. Where
That's
like
also-
you scan it and it's like a spine crushed or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it tried to do a morph
Try to
ball.
do the morph ball and it just completely crumbles their skeleton because
And-
they can't figure out how to get that technology to work.
I don't know if it is from Other M or if they started it in the Metroid Prime trilogy, but isn't that where they also go into the backstory of Adam and who Adam actually is?
Other M does it the most, I believe.
Oh,
I think Other M
Oh, okay.
focuses more on
Okay.
it.
Yeah, they actually like go into the backstory in that series of
Why they call
Yeah.
her lady. And
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the Prime series deals more with
Ridley, I believe. And
more with Ridley
Oh, okay.
and the Phazon, which is like comes from meteor or something from something, and
It's been a while since I've done those ones.
I was about to say it's been a long time since I've played those.
Yeah,
to be
and
honest.
unfortunately, I was into the first Prime game for a while, and I was playing it, and I think I got more than halfway through, and it was one of those things where I think I just got sidetracked. I stopped playing for a while, and then I just forgot where I was, and so now it's like I would probably just have to start from the beginning.
Yeah,
in order
to
in order to start to know where I was.
Well, and for me, like, the weird thing about it was, especially if you weren't playing the Wii version, like,
yeah, I've got the GameCube
first-person
versions.
controls in games have come so far compared to, like, some of the stuff they were trying to do in that one. So, like...
Because you couldn't aim, like, pinpoint, aim, and shoot.
Yeah.
You had to come to a stop, hold the trigger, and then you could aim.
Yeah.
It got weird.
Yeah.
So I honestly, I would kind of like to see those updated so using actually, like, modern first-person controls.
Well, the Wii version...
You had used the remote.
You use the Wiimote, but you can still move.
Yeah.
From what I remember, like I said, it's been a long time since I've played, but
it was still...
it was still super fucking impressive.
Yeah.
What they did with the Metroid series in Prime, because it was just...
It'll be interesting too what they can do with Prime 4 because because obviously the controls have improved a lot in that time.
Well,
since
and because
1, 2, and
Nintendo's
3.
kind of moving away from motion controls, so that'll be good. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Prime though for the next one.
What's so interesting?
So, if the player completes Metroid Prime with all of the items obtained, the Metroid Prime is shown reconstructing itself into the body resembling Samus.
Yeah, it pulls out
At the end of the
It
first.
pulls out of the pool.
That's
Oh,
right. Because
interesting.
at the end, you have to absorb the Phazon
Okay.
and blow it up.
Ah.
That's basically where the end of the first one is.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I was okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
The second one is where you use the two different. You're like traveling between
White and dark.
pretty much. But
Yeah.
I can't remember what the names are.
Yeah. All I know is that
Light Realm and Shadow Realm.
all I knew was
We're
that
going Yu-Gi-Oh here.
yeah. All I know is that one was where Dark Samus was introduced.
Mm-hmm.
Which
was just a copy.
Well, it was, but it's Dark Samus kind of took on a life of its own because of Smash Bros.
Yeah.
So now it's like Dark Samus has really been like its own character.
I suppose sort of like Dark Pit.
Yeah.
Prime Echoes follows Samus. Yeah, sent to rescue Galactic Federation Marines near a ship near Aether, a planet inhabited by a race. The Luminoff. That's what it is.
Okay, yeah.
Luminoff.
Yes, and then that's where you fight the space pirates and her mysterious doppelganger, Dark Samus.
And then go to Corruption.
Yeah, I'm about to say I'm gonna look for Corruption real quick.
Because maybe it was I just...
Echoes features the parallel dimensions, the light Aether and dark Aether.
Yeah, okay.
Changes, because I remember that one specifically because you had these weird pockets, because you would take damage while you were in, if you didn't have the right suit.
Yeah.
So you'd have to shoot these things to make these pockets come up to where you could travel into... it was very cool. Like, they just did a really neat fucking idea. Oh, that's right. This one had a multiplayer.
Yeah.
This was back when they were tacking on fucking PvP.
Oh yeah.
They actually used split screen. You had 6 arenas and deathmatch.
Oh my god.
Like,
Well,
what the
and then
fuck?
they also released Hunters. I think,
Yeah,
came out
Metroid Prime
for
Hunters.
the 3DS.
Not for the 3DS, for the DS.
Oh, there. Sorry.
For the DS. And they also did Metroid Prime Pinball,
Yes,
which, if I'm not mistaken...
that probably sold better than the actual.
No,
games.
honestly, it didn't. It didn't. So Prime Hunters did sell over 1 million copies.
Really.
1.08. Prime Pinball sold about 250,000 copies.
So bad.
And it's funny because I have seen Prime Pinball on multiple occasions, and I passed on it because I thought this looks ridiculous,
expensive,
or
though?
I'll get it like down the line, but yeah, I didn't want to pay for it. And so now I just recently looked at it, Metroid Prime Pinball. I just looked at it to see like, oh, okay, well, how much is it these days? It's almost $100 complete.
Oh my god.
It's like, what? It's $41.60 for just the price charting for just the disc, and then it's $96 if you want to complete. I'm like, well, I didn't want it back then. Now I probably definitely don't want it now. It's not worth it.
Did you find corruption?
So corruption is you end up traveling to the space pirate homeworld. But throughout the game you become more and more Phazon corrupted.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because you're traveling with fellow bounty hunters.
Oh.
To take them out. So you end up going to Phase, which is where the Phazon is coming from, and basically it's where you kill Dark Samus and a corrupted Aurora unit.
Yeah, see, I didn't finish that one, definitely.
And once you beat it, basically you destroy Phase, rendering all Phazon in the galaxy inert. And then they lose contact with Samus as their exploding planet, whatever. 3 I honestly have never even seen. I watched my brother beat 1 and 2, and it's like 3 I've never even...
I think 3 was the one that it was on the Wii, right?
3 was Wii.
Yeah.
Because the...
first 2 were on the GameCube,
First 2 were GameCube.
Yeah.
The third was Wii, and then they had the Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Until the trilogy,
Which all
Wii.
3 were on Wii.
Yeah.
And
then Other M obviously was on the Wii.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the Prime Trilogy to me was fan-fucking-tastic.
Oh, yeah.
In its own right, it was great. Like, I don't understand why people don't like it.
There's a reason why it sold better than any other Metroid game in the series.
Yeah.
So Metroid Prime 1...
Part of the reason it didn't sell better, well, people don't like it, is because, like I said, the control scheme.
Yeah.
They went with the first-person viewpoint, and then didn't have it control like a first-person shooter.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you've already lost a good segment of the people that might play it there.
Honestly, I don't think the feeling of the game would have been the same if it had played like a first-person shooter.
You don't have to have it as frantic, but yeah, it would have benefited being able to look more freely.
Think so?
Yeah. And then
I suppose so.
Part of the other thing too is, as good as they tried to do it, platforming is a fucking nightmare.
Platforming in first person is never great.
It was not easy.
No.
I think that actually may have been one of my biggest issues with the game, and probably why I kind of maybe have walked away from it for a while, is because of the fact that the platforming is just so... It's a nightmare.
And to be perfectly honest, I don't even think nowadays a first-person game does platforming very well.
No.
Even playing a game like Borderlands 3, sometimes trying to make some of those jumps is pretty fucking difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're doing that over-the-shoulder third-person, first-person platforming is fucking impossible.
Well, it's interesting because, maybe people didn't like the first Prime, or this shows it, because so 2002, Metroid Prime, the game sold 2.8 million copies, which is the most of any Metroid game of all time. So you would think, okay, well, they're going to capture that.
Well, two's half that?
2 is 1.1 million. So sales dropped huge.
I wonder why.
What'd 3 do then?
3 went back up to 1.4 million.
Wow.
So people liked it after the second one.
Wonder if that was just because more people had a Wii.
I don't know, because Metroid Prime 2 came out in 2004.
Does it have the...
That was
the-
before the
does it-
before the Wii.
Does it have
Right.
the collected trilogy in there?
Yeah, the Prime Trilogy sold about 600,000 copies.
Jesus Christ.
So now, it wasn't the fact that they weren't all...
No.
I guess not.
No. So, but I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe that was their biggest gripe, is the fact that this was a historically platform-heavy game where you were going from platform to platform, jumps and all that stuff, exploration, and Prime kind of turned it into a first-person shooter.
Wow.
Where it was
Pseudo-shooter.
beautiful. It was beautiful to see the environments, but
the lore of it.
the history that you got from it, from scanning stuff, was just absolutely incredible. But the fact that a lot of it was that pseudo first person, and movement was very difficult from that point. Maybe it just wasn't enough to kind of
I guess
wow
not.
a lot of people.
Because I was about to say, I never played Hunters. Like
I
Metroid
have
Prime Hunters.
It's sad. I have Hunters and I've never played it before. So
I'd have to try it.
yeah.
But I don't know. All I know is fucking Metroid Dread is coming out, which I have high hopes for.
We'll see if it can
hold up.
kick out Fusion from the throne.
This is definitely one of those games that I think, like the day of release, I will try to get myself a copy of it, and I am going to just pop it right in.
I definitely have it pre-ordered already.
Yeah.
100%. I wish I could have gotten it. I could have got the special edition because the special edition looks kind of cool.
Is the special edition sold out?
Of course it is.
Oh yeah, they sold out.
I think they sold out within the day.
Yeah.
Which that's good news. I'm hoping that people really go gangbusters for
Unfortunately, currently in the way like collector's editions are, it's mostly scalpers.
It's for the most part. That's why I'm not excited that all of them sold out, because I can guarantee you that probably 20% of the people who ordered the collector's edition are the ones who actually are going to open it and play it.
Yeah, that's true.
The rest are going to be sold on eBay.
That's why, like, some of my collector editions that I got, I'm lucky I got them because scalpers were just trying to, it's a collector's edition, let's scoop it up, and now we'll put it's not even out, but we'll sell it for, another $200 onto the price of what it's worth.
Stupid.
So
stupid. So obviously, besides those, you have those weird offshoot ones, like we had mentioned, the Metroid Pinball. You had Federation Force, which to be honest, I still don't even really know what Federation Force even is.
I don't. I've seen it. That was the one for the 3DS.
Yeah.
I've seen it multiple times. I've passed on it every time.
I don't know what it's not like. It doesn't play like a Metroid game. So I'm not really quite sure what it's supposed to be.
I don't know what it is. All I know is that people make fun of it a lot.
Yeah. Is it supposed to be like a battle royale shooter, Kevin?
Are you looking it up?
It is a shooter. I remember that much, but I remember the art style. Is garbage.
Oh yeah, the art style looked completely ridiculous. Yeah, they almost look like chibi fucking robots.
Yeah. And
I was like, what the hell is this? But like those are the only two like weird offshoot games I can think of are Pinball and Federation.
Well, then like I said, Hunters.
And Hunters. Hunters was an offshoot too. Yeah. Metroid Prime Hunters and the Pinball was offshoots for the DS, and then Federation Force was 3DS. But yeah, it's sad because those are 3 offshoot games that came from the Metroid franchise, but I've never played a single one of them.
Yeah, me neither.
And at this point, it's kind of sad, but I don't know if I really have like any desire at this time, anyways, to play them.
Yeah,
maybe at one point. I mean, I have Hunters. Maybe I'll pop it in at some point and play it, just see like how it plays and if it's any good. But it's just I guess if it's not a main like series title that adds to like the storyline,
Apparently it does.
Which one does?
Metroid Prime. This story for Metroid Federation Force takes place after Prime 3.
Oh.
And it continues the story.
Maybe that's why I don't really care about it, because I've never I'm not as invested in the Prime series.
You take the role of the Galactic Federation Marines going against the space pirates after Samus defeated the Phazon.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I wonder if they'll do a thing once Prime 4 comes out, if they'll reference that then.
Or if they're just going to ignore it.
Or if they'll ignore it. Because technically Samus isn't there for that.
Yeah.
Because she's off doing whatever, and I think she ends up playing the SR-388.
That's why Prime this could still technically happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why I thought it was weird that Prime was even considered part of the continuity.
Yeah.
Because there was weird, like, referential thing that contradicted the story. But...
Well, and they tried to shove too much shit in between 2 games.
Yeah.
And then, like, having all of those, like, amazing suit upgrades that we never see anything about ever again.
Yeah, that's just like The Legend of Zelda.
Well, no, but
I was just about to say, I mean, it's no different than most of those other main storylines where it's like, I think they created games just to basically have them interesting and have them be fun for players, and the story was kind of like
secondary.
It was off in the distance. Yeah. But now that there has been a complete paradigm shift in that people want cohesive stories and they want the lore expanded, now they're trying to retrofit and say, oh, okay, well, this is the story and it fits here and this fits here and this fits here. And the way that they used to tell stories there's no way to actually put the pieces
Right.
together. So they're doing it the best way that they can, which obviously there's going to be times where it just does not fit together no matter how you attack it. It's not going to fit together.
Right.
But they're doing the best they can because people just want that cohesion. They want the story to fit
People
together.
want it, or do annoying fan bases want it?
Well, like
Yeah.
like Paul said, the
They want order.
mindset shifted.
It wants order. Yeah.
I mean, back when
And the
Metroid
mindset,
1
yeah.
came out, you were still
you wanted
were,
a fun game.
you were on the arcade style mentality of it's basically a point grabber.
Yeah.
You know, so like gaming kind of shifted from that mindset to now it's an experience as
Yeah.
opposed to just a short term.
No, now
Thing.
it's a battle royale.
Oh, ain't that the
that's-
fucking
That's
truth?
gonna be the next Metroid.
Yeah.
Don't even joke about it. They did it with
Yeah.
your beloved franchise. Let's not do it with ours. All right.
Yeah.
Legacy of Kain went battle royale.
It technically went like team death shooter.
It went garbage, is what it
Yes.
went. So Metroid could, and I don't like
Technically,
it.
Metroid's already done it. at
And
least
they have
once.
on Echoes. They did it technically.
And
the multiplayer.
Federation Force,
Oh,
Hunters.
Fucking trash.
So Metroid's already got the preamble for it, so they're ready to go full on
Fuck.
Fortnite.
Yeah, Metroid Fortnite. Yeah. It's gonna be called Met Night. Portmanteau.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Please no.
But what's great about Metroid, and probably the greatest thing of all, is the fact that it kicked off an entire genre of games that are still being represented today. I mean, like we had mentioned at the beginning, Axiom Verge 2 just recently released.
How many of these indie developers are basing their
Oh my
games
God.
based off of the Metroidvania
Yeah.
Wow.
style of gameplay?
I mean, you have both the Axiom Verge games. You have a robot named Fight, which is basically looks just like Super fucking Metroid, except I think it's a roguelite, which is weird.
yeah, that is.
You have Exile's End, which came out quite a few years ago.
Bloodstain, technically.
Bloodstain's more Castlevania-ish.
But it's still.
But it's Metroidvania.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean, Iconoclasts. What the fuck?
He's picking my fuzz. I don't like it.
One game that I wish that Paul would play as well, highly recommended, is Iconoclasts. It's just like Metroid, but it's a more...
Got a big wrench.
She does have a big wrench.
yeah,
but-
that's not gonna happen.
No, it's really, really good.
Actually,
The
I
story is fucking, like...
It's on Switch, I believe.
It's on Switch. It's, like, very dark, but, like, in a happy package, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, hard pass.
No,
Yeah,
you
I'm just
really
kidding,
would like
actually.
it. But, it's...
Was it a physical release?
I
Or
think
was it-
limited run might have.
Why is limited run?
Yeah, I don't think
Well, a
it's
lot of these are
necessarily-
like
These are
Axiom
indies.
Verge. Like, yeah, they're digital. I think they did a
You
limited.
can get limited run physical releases of these, but I'm sure it's
At a premium.
Yeah, you're not gonna get it for the $20 it might be on the eShop.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Yeah.
but I mean, you have this formula's been copied
so many times.
countless times.
And
I'm
it's-
sure there are hundreds that I
So
can't
many
even
failures.
think of.
And it's going to be copied again
Oh, yeah.
and again and again.
Especially, the Metroidvania genre. I mean, Chasm. You had, like you had said before, Bloodstain.
Time Spinner.
Time Spinner. I mean, you have. You could probably list them all day long,
Oh yeah, absolutely. You,
know,
could.
and you have Metroid to thank. I
do.
mean, that's the granddad, well, grandmother, I guess, of them all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's funny.
So,
yeah.
You would one say it's the mother brain.
but yes, for anyone out there, if this.
You see what he did there?
I saw what he did there. I too have face on resistant armor.
Oh,
I'm
help.
listening.
Oh
Need
god.
help.
But yes, if anyone out there is huge into Metroidvanias, Iconoclasts, man. I push it because it was an experience that I'm sad I'm the only one of us that's experienced.
I just have never.
Because I want to talk about it with people.
I want to talk about it.
I want to talk about because it's so fucking good.
I'll play it eventually.
And it's one I think honestly I wouldn't mind playing it on the channel sometime because it really is a lot of fucking fun and it's gorgeous to look at and it's actually pretty tough. So, but yes, any last thoughts? How hyped are you for fucking Dread?
Can't wait.
The Hemi bots look fucking scary. I'm terrified already, shaking in my little booties on
Might
my
sell
phone.
someone's kidney to get it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I can't
Yes.
wait to see it. It looks absolutely terrifying, but I am just I'm so stoked for it.
Me too.
So stoked.
Love the new design.
Me too. Her suit looks so fucking
It does.
cool. I'm hoping there will be a lot of reference to Fusion. You know,
Yeah.
I hope there's reference to the X Parasite some way, shape, or form. I'm just
or even that the SAX just makes an appearance. I would love for the SAX to come back.
yeah. It's just I can't wait. I think we'll definitely play it on the channel.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know.
For sure.
But I'm sure we missed a bunch of information. So if you guys out there, let us know what we missed. What do you love about this series? What do you love about Samus? So much porn.
What is your favorite Metroid game? What do you have fond memories of when it came to growing up with Metroid? Was it Metroid 1? Was it Super Metroid? Was it Metroid 2? Did you grow up playing the Game Boy game and realizing that where did all this hate come from for Metroid 2?
That's right. Were you
It'd
like
just be very
us?
interesting.
Where you just spent hours wandering around the planets looking for those fucking hidden missile tanks,
Oh, yeah.
or the energy tanks,
Energy tanks.
just
yep.
in random spots. You just go around super bombing everything, power bombing.
All I remember is the energy tank that was in Ridley's area that was like damn near impossible to get. Or was it crates?
I think that's Crate. Where you had to
Crates
fall
area,
right out
yes.
the entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fucking pain in the ass. Watch our playthrough of the original Metroid.
That's fun.
It's right in our
Yes.
our 678 game NES series where we're trying to beat all of them.
Yes. PowertripGaming.tv, where you can watch all of our other playthroughs and our side quest material as well too, where we play games that aren't on the NES, like Metroid Other
Fusion and Other M.
M. Yes.
Yes.
I couldn't think about it. I blanked on Other M, even though we were just talking about it.
Wow. So we're on Facebook. We're also on Twitter.
Yes, we are.
If you don't like contacting us on social media, because you're like Paul, and you want to remain pure, you can always send us an email at nespowertrip@gmail.com. Wow.
Yeah. But you can also check out all of our other PTG Powercast episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, and on Spotify.
That is correct.
Yes.
Kevin, got anything else?
Nah, I'm good.
Good?
Just gonna morph ball and roll out.
Roll out. Yes, so that'll do it for another PTG Powercast.
Yep. You've been listening with Power.
Power Bomb!
It's time! It's time! It's Vader time!
Sweet.
Big Van Vader.
Big Van Vader.
Big Van Vader.
Big Van Vader.
Absolutely.
Did he have
He had a big van.
Did he have the van?
He did it. He had a big
Did
van.
he have the Vader mask?
Yes. No.
Oh, then why is he what's a Vader?
Big Van
Vader.
First one that came up.
Oh my god.
There he is.
Big Van Vader. He looks ridiculous. That's awesome.
That is Big Van Vader.
Wow.